All right, everyone, welcome to the Delray Beach Chamber of Commerce's weekly webinar. We're so excited that we have Karen here today to talk about 5 ways to strengthen your business in unprecedented times. I'm going to have a little bio here on Karen because I want some of you guys to get to know her. If you don't already know her, I'm sure a lot of you do. Karen Granger moved to Delray Beach in 1987. She is a career public relations professional working with businesses like the Levenger Catalog and Retail Company, the Delray Beach Chamber of Commerce, and with nonprofit groups as well. Currently, Karen is a full-time advocate for the children in foster care in Palm Beach County through her work at 4Kids of South Florida. She heads up the Palm Beach County office located in Delray Beach. Little fun fact about Karen is she's married to Eric. They have one son named Luke. And if the Grangers ever leave South Florida, they typically visit states that begin with M: Maryland, Maine, or Montana. So Karen, at this time, I'm going to go ahead and turn this over to you. We're super excited to listen to you chat today. But real quick before I do that, please note that if you are hopping on a little late or you need to leave a little early, these webinars are recorded and they're posted to the Chamber Facebook page, the Chamber YouTube channel, and our website underneath the webinars tab. So you can view them at your leisure, and you can also share them with anybody that you think might find them beneficial. So Karen, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to you.
Thank you. Hi, good to see you. So I wish we could be together in person, but this will have to do for now, right? We're all trying to be innovative and keep connecting in any way that we can. So today I'm going to go over 5 ways to strengthen your business during unprecedented times. And I think some of these things I'm going to share with you today are going to help you strengthen your business now and in the days ahead. These are great tips you can always use. And some of this I'm taking right from my own workplace at 4Kids, because I've seen the leadership at 4Kids just really take this time to do some innovative things to really strengthen our own work and our team. And I think we can all use this time to for good in some ways. So we have a little slide presentation here to go over the 5 ways. So we'll just get it started and go to the first slide. So one thing I suggest is really important when you're trying to strengthen your business is to think about all the audiences that you interact with. Often I find that business people are so focused on attracting new business that they often forget some of the low-lying fruit around them. And one thing I noticed, particularly at 4Kids, is when this pandemic started, our leaders right away looked at our employees. So you see on the list there, employees. Employees are part of your audience. And you may be a solo practitioner. You may have 1 employee, or you may have a very large staff. And I think in order to strengthen our businesses and strengthen our work, we can't forget about the people right in front of us that are the ones that are our walking advertisements for what we do. So during the pandemic, I know 4Kids looked right away to our staff and made sure staff was doing okay. They had what they needed to work from home comfortably, and had the tools that they needed and all of that. We also looked at customers, and for us, we don't necessarily have customers, but we have foster families, and we wanted to make sure they're doing okay. And I'll talk to you a little bit more about what we did for them. But your audience includes all of these people: your own employees, the people around you, your customers, also the people that have invested in you. If you have investors, or if you're a nonprofit, if you have donors, you want to look to that as a specific audience group and take good care of them. And then the public is part of your audience. You may not realize it, but every time you're on social media, well, I think you do. Most of you probably do realize that all those people out there that are following you, they're either your customers already or they're prospective customers, most likely. So we want to make sure, as you're strengthening your business, that you're recognizing all those different categories have a big impact on your business. Next slide. So what does what is needed right now? What is needed while a lot of people are working remotely? And I gave you a couple examples that may sound funny, but all right, call me crazy, but one example, Downton Abbey. I don't know if you watch that show, but there's a real castle called Highclere Castle, and they give tours. It's in England. And with the popularity of the show and the movie, that castle, much like the real TV show, at one point was really hurting for finances. And the show brought a lot of popularity to the castle, tours, special events. Um, it became very popular. In the pandemic, they couldn't do those things. So they asked themselves, what is needed right now? And people needed some entertainment. And they got really clever. And they started hosting virtual parties. And they started posting videos about cooking and mixology and history, and posting pictures of memories, and just to keep their customers, so to speak, and their potential customers and their fans engaged. And so that way, when they can open again, they've really stayed engaged with their people, and they still have that customer base in place. I also put the Chamber of Commerce, not just because speaking through the Chamber of Commerce, but I've talked to people about this topic before, and I've used the local chamber as an example. The Chamber of Commerce is so good at saying what's needed right now. You know, do members need information about funding? Do they need information about loans? Do they need information about what's open? Do they need information on how to get things done safely in a social distancing kind of way? And they really jumped on that, so that their audience and their prospective audience would know that they're here to serve. For kids, immediately in the early days of the pandemic, when we thought of what is needed right now, we really wanted to care on the foster families. And fortunately, we had a lot of people say, we want to help you take care of the families. We can donate gift cards to them. We can donate supplies. We can make masks for all the families. Remember in the early days, it was actually hard to find masks and paper towels and cleaning products. And so thankfully, some of the people in the community, like Food for the Poor, Boca Community Church, Boca Lead, churches in Del Rey, the Avenue Church, businesses stepped up. What do you need? Do the kids need food, pajamas? It was amazing. You know, people like the Popcorn House share popcorn. I mean, we're all the time hearing from people that want to help, and we did so many drop-offs. It was awesome. So think about that. What is needed right now? Like, what are the needs? And maybe people have paper towels right now and they have some of those things. But again, information, you know, whether you're an attorney or a banker, think about information that is needed right now and how you can get it to your customers and your potential customers. Okay, next. So this just shows you a little bit of a couple things that were going on at 4Kids over the last few months. We wanted to really make sure that not only were people getting what they need, but we also did a lot of encouraging and a lot of cheering on and a lot of sharing of inspirational stories. So for example, on the slide, reunification celebration, you'll see a picture that was on social media of a foster family who has also adopted, and they have fostered several children. And sometimes we see that in a child's case, parental rights are terminated and the child is available for adoption. So sometimes the foster families step up and say, oh my goodness, of course we would like to adopt them. And other times, parents who have lost children temporarily to the foster care system work very hard to get their children back for whatever reason it was. And we often have these beautiful reunifications where the foster family almost becomes like an aunt and uncle, and they stay in touch. And it's just really beautiful to see that happen. So we love to share those stories and encourage people. So that, along with letting people know that just because we're working remotely, we wanted everyone to make sure that adoptions were still happening. There was still a lot of good news to celebrate. So when we would get news of a virtual adoption, we would often kick into gear and put together a parade, and you'll see a picture there of an adoption parade. So those are just some neat ways to celebrate and also to get the word out to the world about what we do. Next. So how can you help other businesses? What information do you have? A lot of people have needed help with finances and budgeting or loans or banking or planning ahead, strategic planning. You may have a business that can be very helpful, and you can put out information into the community and just nurture your own customers and your potential customers that way with the knowledge that you have to give. Also, some people have asked about office space, and many of you have connections with space. There are businesses that need to pare down and get smaller space. There are businesses that are maybe growing and need to get additional space, or they want people to spread out a little more, or for whatever reason, sometimes people are making decisions during this time to make a change. And a lot of you can be helpful with your customers and potential customers to help get them into the right place. Next. So this, during times like this where you're working remotely, it doesn't mean the work has to stop, of course. And I just wanted to show you an example of some of the things that have been going around for kids. We partnered with Office Depot, and they did some really cool makeovers to some of our houses. And this is a room that was before. This was a room that was in much need of a makeover. And this is where some girls live that are aging out of foster care, but they really still need a lot of support to kind of kick off lives on their own. So if you go to the next slide, you can see the after, and what a difference. And this was the after. Office Depot did a lot of hashtag Depot difference, and really just did an unbelievable job, as you can see by that picture, providing furniture and decor and technology to really get that home to where it needed to be, and to help those girls to continue their education and looking for jobs and getting a good start into their life as an adult. And so after seeing what Office Depot did, we in the Delray office kind of took this time, and we've expanded our office, actually. Thankfully, we're so thankful that our partners helped us do that. And we're making room for family therapy rooms. So we've kind of used this time to say, okay, what kind of work can we get done when there's not so many people around in person? So think about that. That's just another great way of shoring up your business, strengthening your business. Is what can you be working on as so that it's ready when more people are out and about, so that you're ready for them. And then this is just a fun slide because I'm a ridiculous fan, as you can see, of Highclere Castle. I would suggest, whether you're a fan of any of those dramas, historical dramas or not, on Instagram, you can get a lot of ideas from other people's posts about how to inspire people, using your social media to educate, post educational information, to post memories, and just to have some fun. And I think I put them up whether you're a fan or not, because it's worth watching what they do on their videos and with their pictures, because they engage kind of a fan base all over the world. And it's often content rich, and it's very fun too. And I think that might give you some ideas of what you can do in your own business, like to kind of keep your social media going with not only like what's happening or a calendar, but fun historical facts, great memories, some contests. I know at 4Kids, we used our social media and did Facebook Live, just fun family events. We had Romero Brito, the artist, very well-known artist, the most licensed artist of all time, get online one night and show us some little tips of how he creates his artwork. And people at home did artwork. And so that was just fun. It wasn't a fundraiser. It didn't cost anything. It was just a way to stay engaged. Next. So another thought to really strengthen your business is to be you, like do you and do more of you. And I gave an example of like Chef Blake, who's done a lot with Space of Mind in town. He's a chef, he knows how to cook. And he used this time to get creative and say, hey, I can put together some boxed, like ready to go, cook at home meals. And for anyone that would buy a box of this chef created kit, he would donate a kit to a local nonprofit family. And so, like, how brilliant, to strengthen your business, to get word out about what you do by being you and sharing you with the community. So he just did more of what he knows how to do. And I thought that was really brilliant. I mentioned Office Depot. They've been, have the attitude, we're here to serve, we're here to support and help. We're going to continue to do that no matter what's going on, if we do it in person or from afar. I had a lot of us in Delray go to Boca Lead. Anybody can chime on to that message on a webinar. You don't have to buy lunch tickets to go. It's very popular in the whole region for leadership tips. So they know they're good at leadership. So they said, we're going online with leadership. We're not going to stop this. And anybody can go on for free. And they have people all over the world that they're pouring into with leadership tips to get stronger. So, and to be better leaders. So anyway, they continue to do what they do. They're doing more. And so rather than having a few people in a room for lunch, they're having hundreds and hundreds of people. The first time they took the leadership lesson online, instead of one group for lunch, they had 800 participants at the very first one, like in the first hour. And let me just say, one activity makes a world of difference. And I've seen people do one thing to give to the community. We've had at 4Kids, doctors' offices in Delray, people connect and say like, oh, do you need pajamas? I'll do a pajama drive. I'll have people drop off pajamas at my office. Backpack drives. You need backpacks? I'll have people drop off backpacks at my office. A lot of you know Casey Cleveland. He's been very involved in the chamber, and Allie Hicks, very involved in Delray Chamber. They recently collected funds. They got Publix gift cards. Foster families got great gift cards. They were so surprised and delighted. So people like Allie and Casey doing what they do, and just doing more of it to be a blessing to the rest of the community. So even one thing, that you go out into the community really makes a mark for your business and who you are in the community, whether you're a Chef Blake or a Casey or whatever you do. Be you and go out there and care for people, and that's always good for your business. So another thing is words. So fourth on the list is words. And you may think, what do you mean by that? How are words going to strengthen my business? But words are really important in how we share them. During the whole pandemic thing, Oprah Winfrey, who you've all probably heard of, has done so much on social media. She apparently has had pneumonia in the past, so she was truly hunkered down and just really tried to leverage her ability to communicate and to gather people together. And she was giving an example one day that someone that was quarantining with her in her home was going to help her with a project. And Oprah basically said, oh, come here, like the project's in this room. And the person living with her said, oh my gosh, you haven't even started. There's so much more work to do. And really kind of had a bit of an attitude for a moment. And Oprah said, whoa, ouch, ouch, like your words, like that's not encouraging, like I'm asking for help. So I think sometimes our words and our attitude with our employees, with our family, can really make a difference. A very well-known speaking coach, Florence Littauer, wrote a whole book about how words make such a difference. And she talks about our words being like silver boxes with a little bow on top. And I think that's really important to think about, particularly as we're engaging online and on social media. There obviously is this culture out there, kind of like this culture of offense, like I call it and other people call it. And we have to be so careful with our words, and people get so barky, about, what they think and their attitude. And our words are so precious. And I think as business people, we really have to watch that we're putting out encouraging words, inspiring words, educational words, helpful words. I often just, even in my own home, like sometimes we say to each other, because I can get a little grouchy, when we're all cooped up. I'm used to being with people. You know me, if you know me, I like to be with people. So I can get cranky. We can all get a little cranky, but a lot of times we'll say to each other, even in my own home, was that helpful or hurtful? And I know it sounds silly, but all of this stuff I think really affects our business. So what can you do with your words in your own business to put words out there that inspire, that encourage, that don't offend, that build community, that build solutions, and that are positive ultimately for your bottom line? Okay, next. And then number 5, temperature checks. Now that sounds a little crazy. I don't mean just take your temperature and make sure your temperature is normal. I mean, what's your temperature? Because based on how you're feeling, meaning, are you also cranky and fussy like I get sometimes after being apart from people? But what's your temperature? Do you need to calm down? Do you need to take a bike ride? Do you need to go for a walk? Do you need to pause? I know our staff at 4Kids, one of the things we did to take care of each other as a staff in the world of foster care, which can be very tough work, is our weekly staff meetings went online, and we read a book together. And every Wednesday we were talking about this book, and it was all about unplugging. And we got some really great helpful tips about pausing, and just pausing even sometimes for 60 seconds to kind of take care of yourself and unplug, because too much of all this screen time, as you know, just can cause so much anxiety. I go through it myself and just have to put the screens aside, go out and look at the sunset, look at the sky, see God's beautiful creation out there and kind of get a grip, basically. There's a psychologist, I'm not exactly sure how to pronounce her name, Esther, that I listed on this slide, that talked about when you're working from home, you're working with your home. And so here you are at work, but you're also helping with meals, and you're looking after household things, and you're juggling perhaps children or elderly parents or other family members. And so you're in your home. I know sometimes when I'm with my fellow staff, people are grabbing a quiet corner or have their laptop on their lap. Some people are at a kitchen counter or a dining room table. And so you're in your home, you're working with your home, and sometimes you just need to unplug to be a better person for your business, to strengthen your business. That same psychologist said that disasters can often be relationship accelerators. So often when people experience a disaster, they look around at their relationships and say, oh my goodness, life is short. Let's get married, or, oh my gosh, life is short. Maybe we need to take a break. You see all kinds, right? So during these times, it can also do the same with our business, depending on what our temperature is and how we're doing. We can really get excited and say, I'm going to take this time. I'm going to call 5 new people a week, and I'm going to accelerate my business and not let it fall. So your temperature is very important. I know when the pandemic first started, I personally was still grieving. Well, actually, I had not grieved the loss of my father around the holidays. And I literally had a staff member at 4 Kids come to me and say, you might want to take an afternoon off. Like, she could just see it in me. No one even had to say, but she could see it in me. I needed a little time to think. I needed time to process what had happened and carve out time to go grieve so that I could release some of that and come back to work with a new mindset and do better with the business at hand. So I would encourage you all, take temperature checks often. I know that doesn't sound necessarily like PR or marketing or how to grab a new customer, but if you're stuck, or if you're not taking care of yourselves or your staff, sometimes I encourage my staff, like, go for a walk. Like, I can tell when we're getting Zoom fatigue, and I'll say to my team, let's all unplug. We'll regroup in an hour, get something to eat, take a walk, sit outside for a minute and unplug, because if we take care of ourselves in our own temperature, we can come back and do the best for our business. So I really encourage you to do that. Okay, so that's really kind of my 5 points. Just to review them, know your audience. Know your audience is more than your customers. Your audience includes those employees, investors, donors, innovation, what's needed right now. Do you and do more of you. Whatever you know how to do in your business, bless the community with it. Words certainly make a difference. So as you're putting out words, they can often help your business. And then lastly, temperature checks for you, for your team, and even for your customers. How are people doing? Take care of yourselves, because when you take care of yourself, you take care of your business. Okay, so Angel.
Wonderful. Hi. If anybody has any questions, please feel free to type them in the chat box. That was great. I really liked how you brought up temperature checks and how it's just so important. I feel like a lot of us can relate to that, especially if we were used to working in an environment where it wasn't so much screen time, and then having to completely, as we all know, the famous word pivot to something that's just so different than what we were used to. It really is important to take that time. And you're so right about, when you're at home, you're not just focused on what it is that you need to do. You're focused on everything else going around you. And it's a lot easier to kind of interrupt your day and make yourself feel like you're not getting it all done. But at the end of the day, it's most important to put yourself, first for that. So I actually have a couple of questions too, while we wait to see if anybody has anything. So do you have any suggestions on how to get media coverage?
Well, that's whenever I talk about building your business, it seems like that question comes up. I'm glad you asked that. Because if you want to build your business and strengthen your business, people always want like attention given to their business. And the chamber, Delray Chamber, does that awesome media panel, which is great. So one, the chamber has very good connections there when it comes to the media. But I would suggest for business people, I think instead of saying like, well, I make jewelry, how do I get my jewelry on TV? Do something really clever with your jewelry. Maybe everybody starting ninth grade in your child's class is going to get a "We Can Do This" bracelet or something. And if you take your business and, like I mentioned earlier, and care for the community with it, maybe give some of it a little bit away. I'm not talking about giving away your whole store, but if you can, do something in the community that's good, like, hey, we're, giving away bracelets to this class. It's going to encourage them. When they look down at it, they'll know. Like that is more of an appealing story. Like, what are you doing with your business? I think the media likes to know how your business affects the community. A lot of stories right now are covering, is your business open? What are you doing to keep your customers safe? So you can always release that to the media. We're open, here are the hours, here's how we're keeping customers safe. And don't always rely just on the news media, but there are a lot of websites online where you can share, what's happening, updates.
You know any of those off the top of your head, or?
Like if you say you're doing an event online virtually, your conference is going virtual. If you look up like events in South Florida, you'll find like a bunch of event sites, that are websites, and you can pay for advertising or you can get free listings. So that's a great way to get the word out. And then the Chamber of Commerce, of course, is a great benefit of being a member. Like I am like, carry on, join the chamber. Like I've lived here a long time and I've been a part of 3 chambers. I love the world of chamber. And I think sometimes people just think like, oh, the chamber is just for getting together and like networking, and it's so much more. And like the Chamber of Commerce has an email, that lists member events and news. And Delray Chamber has done a great job at getting out, like, support this local restaurant, support this local business, here are their hours. And often that exposure in the community, it may even be better like than that news piece, although I love news pieces too. But don't get hung up on like it has to be the media, because there are a lot of resources like the chamber to give your business great exposure.
Right, there's a lot of alternatives that people can kind of reach out and utilize, which is great. I think the advice you gave about kind of the idea of if you can give something back into the community, not only does it get your presence known, but it's also probably a feel-good thing for yourself as well. You probably feel more connected to those around you, and that's always a good thing. So I have actually another question. How can you advertise your business when you don't have a budget for advertising? I'm sure a lot of people might have noticed a decrease in a lot of their budgets that they have due to COVID. And even prior to that, not everybody has this giant budget to work with. So what do you suggest?
Well, that's a really great question too, because similar to PR, like you want to get the word out. So like, should you buy that ad? Well, I think building relationships with the media is really great. If you can afford, to purchase an ad, that's awesome. Maybe you can get clever if you can't afford to like actually purchase advertising space. Maybe you can partner with somebody else. Maybe there's a similar business or a, say you have a real estate company, but you do a lot of work with this particular mortgage company, maybe a couple of you go in and do some kind of an ad together. So you can get a little creative without having a huge budget. And then the other thing is leveraging those resources online. So, maybe this month you can't necessarily buy the ad, but you want to gain more business so that you eventually can purchase some ad space. So maybe you contact some of your influencer friends you follow online to maybe use your product, so maybe you say you make, or say you clean homes, and you want to keep homes beautiful and sparkly. So maybe you find an influencer, someone that has a lot of attention online locally, and say, can we please come clean your home? And we'd love for you to talk about it. So that's like one kind of donation, so to speak, or do that for a nonprofit that can get online and say, hey, so-and-so came and cleaned our office. That goes online. Maybe you get more business, and then you can boost your budget a little bit so that you can go out and, place business card size ads, or, work with the Delray paper or the chamber website, and, build up some funding to be able to do that. So leverage who online.
Awesome. Yeah, that's a really great suggestion. And so before I lose them, I'm going to try and write them down, my thoughts, really quickly, because I always seem to get a thought and then it flies away. So my first question, I guess, would be, and it kind of comes from that, would you say that coupons are a good way of advertising? Is that something that is beneficial to a business owner, or that's not really that helpful, in your opinion?
I love a coupon.
So if you can give it, is it like a good thing to put out there, whether it's something as small as 10 or 15%?
Yeah, even if it's 10%, like, to bring some attention, and you can present a coupon even online to your audience online, and just say, hey, this weekend it's 10% off. Any kind of specials to bring business. Like if you have a restaurant, this weekend, 10% off on, 2 dinners, or 20% off at 2 dinners, or whatever, or, free beverage with a meal, or any kind of like enticement to get some noise going online, I think is really good. I noticed on this Labor Day weekend, I got so many emails. So if you have an email list of your customers, I got so many emails, Labor Day, 20% off, Labor Day, 20% off. And I found myself shopping, maybe a little more than I should have, but I found things that were coming in my inbox of stuff that I do like to buy.
Right.
And the fact that it, like Levenger, for example, I love their paper. Like there's no other paper. And that's a Delray Beach based company, that's done business all over the world. And, it was 20% off, or whatever it was, and then 40% off the outlet. So I'm hearing from people that I do shop with, and I found that those specials really work. I will say another really clever thing, not to keep bringing it back to 4 kids, but that's kind of what I know now. So I've seen retailers do a promotion where, like during National Foster Care Month or the holidays, they'll say, come into the store and 10% of proceeds will be given to 4 kids, and help, build foster families, help kids in foster care. So I'll give you an example. Several Chick-fil-A stores. I remember, a couple years ago doing the ribbon cutting for Chick-fil-A in Delray on Federal, and then the chamber did the new Chick-fil-A at Atlantic and Military Trail.
Yeah, I got to go to that one.
Well, over the holidays, several Chick-fil-A's did cookies for kids. So they used our logo for kids, and they promoted, on social media, cookies for kids for 2 months. So over an 8-week period leading up, like kind of Thanksgiving, Christmas, 25 cents from every cookie would go to 4 kids. You would not believe, they reported back, they sold 40% more cookies than they had the previous year. because we partnered with them and we put it on all our social media platforms. And For Kids operates in Broward, throughout Palm Beach, and the Treasure Coast. But it started with our local Chick-fil-A's right in our backyard in Delray, and then other stores like up into the Treasure Coast signed on, and they sold 40% more cookies, like with our partnership, just talking about it, with a quarter from each cookie. So that was like a win-win for all. And I love those situations. And I encourage business people to think about those things that can be a win-win for all. It's great media, like, coverage. And, it's good for the bottom line. It's good for the nonprofit. And I just thought that was amazing.
Yeah, well, that's like such a great suggestion. And like, I know myself personally, I get drawn into, if like, for example, a restaurant like Max's Grill or Deck 84 has one of those, 2 entrees and a dessert and a bottle of wine for a certain set price, I'm there. That'll draw me in like crazy. And I really like the suggestion for that win-win for all, because you probably get more people to kind of get on board that way, because everybody's going to get a little something back from that. So that's great. And I think this is, I guess, more of an opinion, or just kind of what you would think. So with your advertising budget, and if it's not that large, do you have a suggestion either way of if they should try and do a bunch of smaller price? So like maybe they take out some small ads in a couple of different newspapers, or if their budget amount allows them to do something larger, but it would only be one, maybe like a billboard or something like that. I know billboard is probably like really high up there, but do you have a suggestion of where the money should kind of be split, or if it should kind of just all go into one spot, or does it depend on maybe the business?
Well, that's a good question too. If you're going to advertise, and I definitely believe in advertising, and I'm a print kind of girl, like I've just always enjoyed, our local magazines and newspapers and things like that. The more people see your message, the better. I would think about, where are your customers? Years ago when I worked for the Levenger company, the whole early success that like gave Levenger its initial boost like 25 years ago was a little tiny like 1/4-inch ad in the back of the New Yorker magazine. And they knew that people that read the New Yorker were their kind of people, so they put serious lighting for serious readers, and here's a number to call. Because if you're a reader, a lot of New Yorker magazine readers are reader types, and you're always wanting a better reading light to read. And so they got 400 calls off of that one teeny tiny ad in the back. So they really were laser focused on, where are their people. So before you get an ad, I would really think about, where are my people? Like, are they reading Atlantic Ave magazine? Are they loving looking at like the pictures in the front and the profiles? Are they reading Delray Beach magazine? Do they love their, highlights, of bios on various community leaders? Maybe your customers are looking at both. Maybe they're looking at Delray Beach newspaper. Maybe they're watching the Sun Sentinel, or looking at or following it online. Some folks, love South Florida Business Journal. Is that where your target audience is? So think about your target audience. And if it's a few of those, maybe smaller in a few publications. And if it's all one particular publication, then maybe it's a full page in that one particular publication. And you're really like working with that one source and their audience.
Right. So to kind of just really take the time to just evaluate where your target audience is at, and you'll probably see the most results from that. Wonderful.
Yeah. And one other thing is, I would not be afraid, like, don't be afraid of advertising. Like, oh my gosh, it might be too expensive for me, I can't afford it. Call your, the local newspapers, call several and just say, what are your rates like now? I've never done this before. What can you offer me? Is there something I can do as a test? explore, talk to people, get information before in your head, like you just turn it off, because like for Levenger, it boosted and launched their whole brand.
Right. Wow, and that's a great suggestion that I would have honestly never thought to take that time to see if there was anything they could offer me. I would have been scared off if I maybe didn't have the amount. I would have just said goodbye. But that's a really good idea to call, because I guess if you're a new customer too, a lot of people, they're going to try and work with you, or they're going to try and find something that does fit your budget, which is great, especially around here. I know everybody's super helpful in that regard. So if anybody has any questions, please feel free to type it in the chat box. I'm going to pop away for 1 second to just check our Facebook to see if we have anything there. And I'll be right back.
Great. And if you're still listening out there and can hear my voice, talk to some of your friends for ideas when it comes to advertising and PR. I was just saying, talk with your peers, talk to your friends, and brainstorm about advertising and publicity. And I know often the Chamber of Commerce has plenty of platforms, and leads groups, and like people to talk to and share ideas. And the more you're out there talking, to others, you can often get good advice and hear about their experiences, with PR, the media, advertising.
Oh yeah, no, and that's wonderful. So we're all set on Facebook, but that is another good point. I know for us internally, even brainstorming sessions are the best. Even if every idea is not a winner, it usually sparks something, and it's like a nice little connection that you see. So it never hurts to have those conversations with as many people as you can, because I know we tend to get, or at least myself individually, you kind of sometimes are in a little box and you need someone to help break that through for you. So that's a great suggestion. But I think we are all set on questions. I don't see any popping up in the chat. Thank you so much, Karen, for being here today. That was just like a lovely presentation. You're fascinating to watch. I think you're just great. And if anybody would like to share this afterwards or just view it again at your leisure, you can see it on our Facebook page, our YouTube channel, and our Chamber website underneath the webinars tab. So we will see you next week. We have a presentation from Ron Kanyak, same day, same time. And thank you again.
Thank you.
Bye.